Welcome to Eviliv3, the live media commentary show that answers the question, are the Nephilim dangerous to mankind? Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we are reviewing The Prophecy 2. That's right, there's two of them, and there's actually a lot more than two. And the quality of these films exponentially nosedives after the first. But we're still right after the first. And I love this series of films, even... Yeah, it's like... I like the Hellraiser films, but they don't get better. They just go bad to worse to what the fuck? And that's kind of what the Prophecy films do as well. But I still love them because... I'll put a pin in that. All right, so my initial thoughts about The Prophecy 2 are... I was so excited when this first came out because Glenn Danzig was going to be in it. And this is coupled, this is in the 90s, so this is coupled with the fact that Black Aria, which is Glenn Danzig's classical music album, it's sort of like synth classical, I'd been like obsessed with since it came out. And so having Glenn Danzig in as one of the archangels was incredibly exciting until you actually saw the film and you realize that he's only in it for about 3.5 seconds. And you're just like, damn it. Damn you! Paramount or whoever made this film. Who made this film? Dimension Films. Damn you, Dimension Films, for not using Danzig more. In either case. So this was released January 20th, 1998. It was directed by Greg Spence, and it was written by Matt Greenberg and Greg Spence. Hey, Chris, funny seeing you here. I love me some Christopher Walken as well. Did I see the recent Walken commercial? No, I don't think so. What's he hawking? What's Walken hawking? All right, you let me know. All right, so the log line of this film is when the powers of good and evil again descend to Earth in a battle over mankind, the only hope for survival is the unborn child of an innocent woman. With the help of a mysterious stranger, she races to protect her child and save mankind. None of that tells you anything at all about the film, which is weird because that's the log line. That's supposed to sell you on the film, but there's nothing there. So in order to understand The Prophecy 2, you have to have seen The Prophecy 1. And that is to say that there is a second war in heaven. And this time, it's not between the angels about Lucifer trying to, take a third of the host of heaven with him and, vying for power over whether humans should have free will or not. This is over humanity itself. And whether or not they should be elevated on the same level or higher than angels are. And so it's angels fighting against humanity being loved by God, led by the Archangel Gabriel, wonderfully portrayed by Christopher Walken. So in the end of the first prophecy, which I reviewed a while ago, Christopher Walken was actually taken to hell by Viggo Mortensen's Satan, who is arguably the best Satan ever played, unless we're counting Tim Curry in Legend playing the Prince of Darkness. And then I'm going to have him leg wrestle to find out which one's better, mainly because I want to see Viggo Mortensen and Tim Curry leg wrestle. It's just a thing I've got. So in either case, demon against demon, let's see it. Let's make this happen, people. If there's one good thing about AI, we could make that happen. Right? Maybe? Possibly? It's for the BMW. It's basically him being surrounded by everyone in his life with him doing a bad Walken impersonation. That's pretty funny. All right, so in this film, Christopher Walken is kicked out of hell by Lucifer, and it's not Viggo Mortensen reprising his role. In fact, only two people reprise their roles, and that is the mortuary medical attendant from the first film and Christopher Walken. Everyone else, even Thomas Daggett, didn't come back. They recast. So they recast Lucifer, they recast Thomas Daggett. So anyway, you'll remember Thomas Daggett was the police officer that was a priest, but he sort of forgot, or he couldn't hear the word of God anymore, so he became a cop, which, is what you do in life. It's something you decide to do. Okay, so anyway, Thomas Daggett becomes a monk after having seen Satan and Gabriel fight over whether or not Gabriel would steal the most evil soul of all mankind. And he killed him. And so he was like sort of freaking out about it. He became a monk and he started listening to God again. And he started writing down this prophecy. And the prophecy is, in the prophecy 2, that there will be a child born of an angel and a woman, a Nephilim. And this Nephilim will side with the angels who want to keep God's word, and they will throw and cast out the angels that followed Gabriel, the evil angels, I guess, because they're not demons, because that's like Lucifer's realm. So I don't know. They're like bee angels. They're red shirt angels. They're like the disposable angels. Anyway, the war is continuing to go on, basically, between the angels in heaven, and this is just another way. So the hook is the exact same. Gabriel is trying to get something from humans, and humans are trying to stop them with a little bit of angelic help. Same exact setup as the first film. Hey, it worked once. Let's see if it works again. And it kind of did. So my initial thoughts of this, the Prophecy 2, is honestly, I dig it. More of the same. Give me more of the same. I wish there was more familiar faces. I wish people would have reprised their roles, but I've always been obsessed with Abrahamic myth. I love the idea of angels and demons. And so, yeah, give me a double hit and I will take it. Like, anytime you can give me another prophecy, I will eat it up. Whether I enjoy it thoroughly or not is another thing, but I was really excited and I really dug it. So we have Christopher Walken as Gabriel. We have Russell Wong as Daniel. He's the male angel who impregnates the female with the Nephilim. The female, of course, is played by, why is she not on my bill? Jennifer Beals. She plays Valerie Rosales. Jennifer Beals, by the way, great in this role. She's a beautiful actress and she's very talented. And I really, really dug her take on this character. It takes this sort of like Latin spin, and because the Latins were invaded by Spanish conquistadors and all of their indigenous religious artifacts, memories, and histories were wiped away by the Catholic Spanish, then of course they would then adopt the Catholicism of their usurpers and continue to do so in perpetuity for some insane reason. There is no greater offense that any peoples can commit than erasing the histories of another culture. No greater insult to mankind and humanity, because maybe they had some insight into the human condition that we will never discover because your idiot religion decided to wipe them out because you're a bunch of racist assholes. And we're still seeing it today. ISIS was doing it in Iraq. Like, for fuck's sake, I don't like Iraq as a country when Saddam Hussein was in control of it, but maybe don't destroy ancient fucking artifacts. Let's just have a rule. Fuck's sake. All right. Anyway, I'm going off on a rant here. Brittany Murphy is in this. She plays Isabel, Izzy. So one of the great parts, one of the great tropes of the Prophecy franchise is that Gabriel, Christopher Walken's archangel, he gets people near death and then holds their soul in their body against their will and uses them as a slave. And so these people are like crying and hurt constantly, in constant pain and torment. And he just keeps them around to do stuff like drive a car or use DOS on a computer because he doesn't know how to do anything, because he sees everything that humans do as monkeys because we're evolved from monkeys. And so how can he lower himself to do things that monkeys do, right? I love it. It's a wonderful trope, and Brittany Murphy is pretty goddamn amazing. I'm sad to have seen her go because I've always liked everything she's ever been in. She has this ability to turn on emotional turmoil that comes off really well on the camera. Like, I don't know how or why or what, but she's great. I really, really dig her. Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? You haven't watched this franchise in a while. Yeah, well, it's. I don't know if it's worth the rewatch, but why not? If you have an afternoon and you have a glass of bourbon, yeah, definitely rewatch it because it's fun. Eric Roberts, the famous B actor in every B movie. He's in this. He plays Michael, the Archangel Michael, the Archangel of War. And ironically, doesn't have any war. There's a lot of really great aspects to this film. Like, for example, one of the great, it's not really favorite, least favorite, but how they present Eden in this film is amazing. And it's exactly like I would imagine if there ever was such a thing. I don't personally believe in any of the Abrahamic myths. I just enjoy them. And so the idea of Eden is ridiculous. It's a fable. But I like the idea of a failed experiment that Eden would be. And so Eden in this film is like this industrial wasteland. It's not quite like a mining facility or a coal burning facility. You're not even really sure what it is. It's a series of like metal towers and stairs. And that's it. And that's all it needs to be. Because in biblical terms, it was supposed to be the most beautiful thing ever. But as soon as, the first fall happened and now this second war in heaven, everything's gone to shit. And of course, as soon as humans get involved with anything, it always goes to shit. And so what would we do to Eden? Take this garden of perfection? We would totally destroy it, industrialize it, make it into like somewhere no one would ever want to be. I love that. I think that's a great trope. I think it's a great way to take something that was meant to be this beautiful garden into what now modern sensibilities are. Garbage. So I thought Eric Roberts did great there. Again, Glenn Danzig played Samael. He was in it for about 3.5 seconds, unfortunately, because Glenn Danzig's, he's a horrible filmmaker. If you've seen any of his films, and yes, he has made films, they are horrendous. They are an insult to what films should be. He is that bad. They are not even like watching it to make fun of it good. They are a nightmare. But I do really like him for some reason. Probably because of his old work with the Misfits, his old work with Danzig, his old work with Black Aria 1 and 2. Like, for some reason, I keep going back to the Glenn Danzig well, and it's disappointed me for 25 years, but I still tap that well every chance I get because I'm a sucker for punishment, I guess. And in any case, talking monkeys is right. I liked seeing him in this. I just want Danzig to be in good stuff. And the thing is, he has good... How should I phrase this? He has good instincts, not good skills. So he wants to tell a good story based around a good idea, but he can't. He's incapable of doing it. And so he just needs to surround himself with talented individuals, really, is what it comes down to. Nikki Mika is Detective Kriebel in this. I definitely pronounced that name correctly. And I don't know, there's a bunch of other people who don't really matter at all. So ostensibly we have the setup, right? Gabriel's kicked out of hell because Lucifer's tired of his shit, and it's just, hell's not big enough for the both of them. Gabriel instantly reconnects with his archangels, and he wants to stop this Nephilim from being born to then unify angels and mankind and elevate mankind even more. So he goes on the warpath to try to find the baby that's still in the womb and kill it. Daniel comes down to impregnate the woman, finds out he likes pussy, which I get it. It's pretty spectacular, actually. So he's like, starts to actually fall in love with this young woman, Valerie Rosales, who instantly, as soon as she has sex, the next day is like she's 5 weeks pregnant. So this baby is like growing incredibly fast in her body. And she's freaking out, understandably. And then all of a sudden, Gabriel starts coming in trying to kill her. And so the whole story is her trying to get the fuck away from Christopher Walken. How do you not like that setup? That is a great setup. Never once mentioned in the log line, which is insane to me. Like, that's all you have to say. Christopher Walken is trying to kill babies in a mother's womb. Okay, Yeah, he held an uncomfortable hunk of metal in his ass for years as a POW in Cambodia. So, yeah, that tracks. That's what he would do. Pulp Fiction reference there if you didn't get it. All right, so the coming of this child is said to precede the reconciliation between the warring factions in heaven. It's been prophesied by Thomas Daggett, who's now a monk. And so the first order of business for Gabriel is to go find Thomas Daggett and burn his ass to the ground. And he does it. And it's great. Anytime I can see an immolated monk, I don't know why. It's like peanut butter Captain Crunch. It brings a smile to my face. I don't enjoy it particularly, but I kind of like it. Anyway, climaxes in a battle in Eden, which is now an industrial wasteland, and Gabriel is turned into a human at the very end, spoiler warning, by Michael. In this beautiful moment where Gabriel is chasing Valerie up this industrial wasteland to like this sort of like, I don't know, it's like a ramp or something that you bring tools up and from the ground all the way up high, right? So she like jumps over to it and it's all rocking and stuff. Then Christopher Walken jumps on it, it's all rocking. And she's like, look, why don't you just listen to God? And he's like, well, he doesn't really talk to me. God, I can't do the fucking accent. So he's basically saying he hasn't listened to me, he doesn't talk to me, he doesn't communicate with me, I haven't heard him in a long time. She's like, well, he's talking to me right now, and he's saying to jump. It's this beautiful moment. And so she grabs hold of Christopher Walken and jumps off this scaffold thing. They fall plummet to her death. She doesn't get hurt because she turns over, and as anyone knows, as long as there's a body in front of you when you hit the ground, you'll be fine. It's like if an elevator is flying down an elevator shaft, all you have to do right before it hits the ground is jump, and you're going to be okay. Same logic here. So she turns around, so Christopher Walken's Gabriel is back first. She lands on him, who lands on this pipe going up right between her rib, but right through Christopher Walken's lung. So he's laying there like all fucked up, like, what the hell just happened? Why? Ugh. And that's when Michael comes out and he's like, time for you to be the thing that you hate most, monkey. And all the angels have this symbol, angelic script on their necks saying which angel they are. So he like touches it with his fingers and it disappears. I suspect it was probably a temporary tattoo that he just wiped off, but that's just my guessing. In any case, it makes Gabriel into a human, which we sort of see in this closing scene of him as a bum, basically with his trumpet and people coming and helping him and stuff, and him thanking humanity and finally coming to terms with the fact that he is a mortal and now he needs to act like a mortal and appreciate the thing that he has been fighting against for all of eternity. Ironic, and it's beautiful. And then the Nephilim child is raised and born and sent off to school. And the mother, Valerie, is basically like, look, if he doesn't come back because you angels took him, when he's 9 or whatever, fine. But I'm going to raise him as long as I can raise him. So back the fuck off, angel, and leave me alone. Let me raise my baby. And it's great because if you've ever seen The Prophecy 3, you know where it goes, which is basically the Christopher Walken trilogy, as I like to think of it in terms of The Prophecy, because after that, it goes into a whole other territory, which is like a weird Eastern European, like Ukraine type setting, which is a weird choice. It must be like a tax break in filming or something, which is why they did it. But in any case, I'll get to those. But it sets up the third film perfectly, and I kind of can't wait to talk about it because it's not good, but I like the concept behind it. And that's really the strength of these prophecy films after the first one. The first one was great. Definitely worth watching because it's amazing. It's got a star-studded cast, and it's just a wonderful story. The second one's a rehashing of the story of the first with a bit of a twist, which I really liked, but it forces Gabriel to go through a change. And that I really, really appreciated. The third one realizes full circle that change, which makes me love it as a trilogy. Not so much as a film in and of itself. So my favorite part of this, hey JD, how you doing, man? It's been forever. You didn't know there's a third? Oh my gosh. There's like 6 of them. Maybe 7. It's crazy. And I'm going to go through them all eventually. It'll probably take me years, but I've seen them all, and I don't love them all, but there's scenes in all of them. Like there's a pile in the second one, and I think it's repeated in the third, fourth, and fifth or something. There's a pile of naked bodies, like all wrapped and writhing, and there's this archangel standing on top of it. As far as iconography goes, it's amazing. It's great. It's like this brilliant pile of naked bodies you never knew you needed in your life, but now you want to get a tattoo on your left butt cheek for some reason. It's like that. And I do. I'm just kidding. I don't. And I would never. But I would like to think that I might with enough of this. Yeah, I might. All right, so my favorite part has got to be that moment where Valerie is talking to Gabriel at the end, and she's like, why don't you talk to God? Just talk to him. You can resolve this. Just talk to him. He's like, he hasn't spoken to me in a while. I keep trying, and I can't do the damn accent. And then she's like, do you want to know what he's telling me? And he's like, yeah, I do. She like gets all close. Jump. And then she jumps off the thing. I love Eden being an industrial wasteland. I think that's amazing. I've always loved the myth of the Book of Enoch. So there's a bunch of Judaic Christian books, which are basically, they're all collected into this concept of an apocrypha, which are non-official Christian stories, right? So the Bible itself is compiled by a bunch of different books. Those books were all agreed on in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea under the forced hand of Emperor Constantine, who wanted to reunify a failing Roman Empire. And he's like, look, if I give you guys enough money, will you please make a singular Bible so that all of these warring Christian factions and cults can just unify, and we could just unify this whole kingdom and all the pagan different beliefs? And they're like, nah, we're good. And he's like, all right. And he like boatloads of money on the table. And they're like, okay, we'll do it now. Because, Jesus told us to. That's how religion works, if you guys didn't know, because it's real. That's actually what happened. So they had to choose which books to include in the final version of this Greek Bible. They all didn't agree, and so the ones that got in. The ones that didn't became the Apocrypha. Some of the crazier ones, like the Book of Enoch, spoke about Nephilim and how angels came down and mated with mankind and created these monstrous entities that ended up teaching mankind all sorts of stuff like agriculture and math. So maybe they were a bunch of assholes, but like they taught mankind things that no one else would teach them. And that's how civilization, society like evolved according to ancient Jewish / Christian, Abrahamic myth. And so I've always loved the idea of the Nephilim. And so to have that as a central point of this film was just dope. They don't really play into it as much as I wish they did in the next film, but whatever. What are you going to do? They have a pile of naked dead bodies. That's great. All right, so what else? Fixed a unicorn in a guy's butt cheek years back. Wow, that's a choice. That is a choice, my friend. Wow, I want to see that picture. I actually really do. I think that would be hilarious. Was he Scottish? I hope he's not Scottish. All right, anyway, my least favorite part is the execution of this film. The fact that the original actors didn't come back except for Christopher Walken, the fact that I just wanted more, I wanted less of a repeat of the first film and more of an exploration of the concepts that I found so interesting. A second war in heaven, what these angels are at. There was no actual angel fighting. At the very beginning of the film, we got a couple angelic scufflings, but the climax of the film is set up where Valerie and Danielle have gone into Eden, right? Protected by Michael for safety. Gabriel walks up to the gates of Eden and he's like, bitch, I'm going to kill that motherfucker and rip that baby out of her belly. So you better let me in to do it. And Michael's like, no, you can't come in here. This is Eden and I won't let you. And he's like, I love what you've done with the place. Like, because it's shit. And he's like, look, the numbers don't lie. And he points up and it goes to that same scene you see in every one of the prophecies that came in the first film of all the angels flying across in a stormy sky. Great iconic scene. But it's this promise of an angelic battle of like bad angels versus good angels, not demons, but you know what I mean? Never happens. So instead, Eric Stoltz is like, is it Eric Stoltz? Eric Roberts is like, you can come in, Gabriel, but we promise we won't stop you, and you can only take her away if you can actually get her. So he's basically like, look, the angels aren't going to do anything. And so what's the first thing that happens? Daniel steps up and fights him. Like, if you're going to let the dude in on the promise of no one's going to actually fight, and then this one angel is like, fuck the rules, man. Well, aren't you the exact same as Gabriel at that point? If you're going to break the rules of your servitor, your superior, then why the hell even have a hierarchy? Like, it makes no sense at all. I mean, it doesn't matter because the dude gets killed anyway, so, fuck him. But still, kind of my least favorite part of the whole thing. I just wish there was more. I wanted more angels fighting. Like, I wanted a battleground in the industrial wasteland of Eden, fighting and murdering each other, ripping wings off of bodies, blood spraying everywhere, heads being ripped off. Like, I want to see hearts ripped out of chests. Like, give me that. But they didn't. All right. So, my rating of this, I'm getting all like excited about this, is 3 out of 5 Evil Eyes. It's not a good film, but it's a good prophecy film. And that's saying something. I'll just leave it at that. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this review of the Prophecy Dos. It's definitely worth seeing if you like that Abrahamic idea of angels and demons, Lucifer and stuff like that. It's fun. And if you like Christopher Walken, definitely check it out because he's dope. He's never been in something that I have not enjoyed simply because he's in it. So do yourselves a favor. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. As always, remember the evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.